Ladies, young ladies and gentlemen, good evening once again. Good evening to all of you. Once again, you are welcome here on the EV Discussions platform. In international news, this gentleman here, Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General of the UN, he is not at all happy with the way the very institution is leading is functioning. The UN, if we have stood up here several times to criticize the UN, we've said that the UN is no longer of any use. We've said that the UN is an organization serving the interests of the Western minority. We said that the UN has discredited itself as an organization, that the UN and its institutions should be dissolved, yes. All the other bodies or branches or whatever they are, which serve as the pillars of the UN, that they should all be retired. When we said it here, some people, especially on the African continent, spoke up to say, no, listen, this and that, etc., with arguments that don't even hold water. Today is the Secretary General of the UN himself, in person, who is criticizing the very institution he leads. Antonio Guterres wants the veto right to be abolished because it makes the UN ineffective. He wants the UN Security Council to be abolished, an organ that has become, in other words, the main obstacle within the UN. He's the one talking about this, but he's using diplomatic language so as not to draw attention to himself. But that's forgetting that we are here to awaken people's awareness. Ladies and gentlemen, the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, is not happy at all. He made his statements in the form of what we might call a plea. He made his statements in the form of a plea. And in this plea, what did he have to say? Let's dive deeper to see what he had to say. Share the video conference as much as possible. Give it lots of likes. Give it lots of likes. There you go. So, according to official information, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres made a clear call for limiting the right of veto within the Security Council. He says that it should be limited if not abolished, at least limited the right of veto. Yes, he is calling for this limitation of the right of veto within the Security Council. He specifically suggested that this restriction should apply in extreme situations, particularly when there is an imminent risk of genocide. This proposal, which according to him, aims to prevent the blocking of crucial decisions that could save lives and prevent mass atrocities. Yes, that's the first aspect. In the second aspect, he questions the legitimacy of the Security Council. For him, the Security Council is no longer legitimate. It's the logical next step. Let's go back for a moment to the first aspect. When he says that, obviously, the situation with the right of veto constitutes a blockade. In most cases, when decisions need to be made by the UN Security Council, the internal rivalries that exist between the different states that constitute the permanent members of the UN Security Council, these rivalries mean that decisions are always blocked. And as a reminder, the right of veto in the UN Security Council is held by 5 permanent members: China, the United States, France, the United Kingdom, and Russia. They are the ones who run this world. They are the ones who run the UN, the most important body of the UN. Look, we have China, we have Russia. So these 2 countries are on their side, China and Russia. We have the United States, France, and we have the United Kingdom. How can this possibly work? It can't work. For a very long time, other countries around the world have been demanding to participate in the UN Security Council, but they refuse. They refuse. Yet, this Security Council is an institution. Its composition dates back to 1945. 1945. And up to now, it continues. You see, as if we were still in prehistoric times. Something that was put in place in 1945. It's impossible to change things in 2025. We're in the year 2000. Yes, Up to a certain point, I mean, it is simply and utterly unthinkable. Unthinkable. We keep going with this moribund institution that brings nothing to the whole world. Nothing. But since this time, it's coming from the mouth of an authoritative voice like Antonio Guterres. I think some people will surely understand. So, what's happening? Antonio Guterres doesn't stop there. He is outright questioning the legitimacy of the Security Council. So, beyond limiting the right of veto, Antonio Guterres expressed serious concerns about the current legitimacy of the Security Council. According to him, the body no longer faithfully reflects today's world. It reflected the world of yesterday. In 1945, years have passed. Things have changed. Yet we keep going with such an institution while things have changed. Why things have changed? What does that mean? What does that actually mean? So, according to him, the fact that the Security Council is outdated leads to a lack of effectiveness in the Council's mission. As a result, he advocates for expanding the composition of the Security Council. So, other countries need to be included as members of the Security Council. And this whole issue of the right of veto should be abolished. If they want to, they just have to change the situation. If they don't want to, they can just leave things as they are. What remains clear is that today's world understands what this so-called institution is. One that is discredited on every level. Donald Trump came recently. The WHO, the World Health Organization, which is part of the United Nations system, was discredited and treated as a criminal organization. Who is going to continue to trust them? The financial institutions that originated from UN organizations, where are they today? Discredited. So this means that what we've always said about the UN, we're right. We've always been right. Now, he himself, the Secretary General, is pleading his own case. All he has to do is set up a procedure, summon the states, summon all the countries of the world. Who appointed these states to lead the world? We're talking about an international organization that brings together all the countries of the world, that imposes itself on all the countries of the world. And in this organization, the other member countries of the world can't have a say in decision making. Normally, this whole Security Council business should be abolished, and maybe it should be representatives of the states who make the crucial decisions. There you have it. In any case, that's the main news. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sharing this video conference as much as possible. I'll be back with more information shortly. This was the voice of your one and only Samurai.